Just after 6 p.m. local time on Tuesday the 4th of August, an explosion ripped through Beirut's port.
Beirut is the capital city of Lebanon, located on a peninsula at the midpoint of its Mediterranean coast. It is the largest and main seaport for the country. It is also a gateway to Middle East countries. On 4th August of 2020, two explosions occurred in port of Beirut, making the whole world shocked by the news. The incident was started by a huge fire at Warehouse 12 of Port of Beirut. The warehouse location is next to the warehouse that stored a huge amount of ammonium nitrate. The amount of ammonium nitrate that was unsafely stored is around 2,750 tons. The first explosion happened at 6 p.m. and the second explosion is only 30 seconds later. It is reported that the second explosion are bigger than the first one. Due to the explosion, the Prime Minister of the country declared a 2-week state of emergency. This is the condition of ports of Beirut after the explosion. Almost 200 people were killed and the other 5,000 were injured. The shockwave from the explosions damaged the airport window that is 9 km away from the port. It also damaged the city. The explosions can also be heard at Cyprus, that is about 200 km across the Mediterranean Sea. Ammonium nitrate is a salt of ammonium and nitric acid. It is widely used in fertilizer and explosive matter. Ammonium nitrate are able to explode on its own if the temperature rises rapidly. Explosions of ammonium will lead to the release of toxic gases like nitrogen oxide and ammonia gas. These toxic gases will cause air pollution that is dangerous to humans.
Hi, my name is Mohammed. I'm going to elaborate the chronology of the Beirut explosion. On the 4th of August 2020, a huge explosion has struck the city of Beirut, causing a large-scale and widespread damage around the city of Beirut, killing 154 people and wounding more than 5,000 people. Based on the report from New York Times, the blast was felt across Turkey, Syria, Palestine, and some part of Europe. The explosion was also detected by the United States Geological Survey, and it was also considered as one of the most powerful artificial non-nuclear explosions in history. This then led the Lebanese government declare a 2-week of emergency response to the disaster. Around 6 in the evening, a fire breakout happened at Warehouse 12. A team of 9 firefighters and a paramedic, known as Platoon 5, was then dispatched to fight the fire. Based on the report, when the firefighter came, there is something wrong with the fire and it also produced a crazy sound. Reported that, triggered by the firework that had been stored in the Warehouse 12, an explosion occurred and had sent up a large cloud of smoke and a crackle of bright firework flashes into the sky, heavily damaging the structure of the warehouse. 33 to 35 seconds later, the second explosion happened. This explosion reached the center of Beirut and sent a red-orange color-like cloud into the air, which was briefly surrounded by the condensation cloud. The red-orange colored cloud was caused by nitrogen oxide, which is the byproduct of ammonium nitrate decomposition. It was reported that The second explosion came from the Russian leased vessel that stopped in Beirut while it was sailing in November 2013 from Georgia to Mozambique. It was an embargo ship, and the cargo on the ship have been offloaded to the port.
Hi, I'm Hajar and I will talk about the cause of explosion in Beirut. This explosion is considered as one of the most powerful artificial non-nuclear explosions in history. Authorities say the blast occurred when a fire at Warehouse 12 on the city waterfront ignited ammonium nitrate, which is an explosive material that had been stored at the site for more than 6 years. The warehouse used to store explosive and chemicals such as nitrates and common components of fertilizer. The ammonium nitrate was seized from MV Roses, which is a cargo ship that was abandoned, had exploded. The amount of ammonium nitrate exploded was 2,750 tons, was equal to around 1,155 tons of TNT. But set it off is not yet clear, but it was almost certainly a fire nearby. Another hidden cause is the explosion will not happen if the component in warehouse at the port was managed well by the government and the ship owner. MV Roses was a general cargo ship that was abandoned in Beirut, Lebanon. After the ship was declared unseaworthy and the Qatar lost interest in the cargo, the ammonium nitrate which the ship was carrying was confiscated and brought to the shore in 2014 and later contributed to the explosion.
Hi, I am Nadia. I'm going to present the Beirut explosion effect. Chemical pollution can have an assortment of health effects, from mild digestive issues to chemical poisoning and even death. Usually, these kind of effects are often associated with exposure to a large amount of chemicals. However, depending on the type of pollutants exposed, chemical poisoning has a serious impact on health and can cause immediate symptoms and disease or late effects within weeks or months after exposure. Some chemical pollution poses a serious threat to the ecosystems and leads to mild or fatal chemical intoxication. The chronic effects of high concentration of ammonium nitrate on amphibians has been reported. Marine life, especially fish, have a natural defense system to cope with nitrogenous compounds such as nitrates and ammonia. Still, if they are exposed to a large concentration of these compounds for a long time, harmful results are observed. If fish are exposed to ammonia for plenty of time, it starts to compete with potassium ion in the muscle membrane and can destroy muscle contraction. It also severely damages the nervous system by depolarizing the neurons. The country also has no hazardous waste storage or treatment facilities. To make things worse, the UN official says the blast severely damaged one of the two municipal waste facilities in Beirut. The facility that remains is unable to handle the amount of waste being generated. The UN and the European Union are working together to ensure that debris removal and waste management is done properly. The cost of this operation is estimated at more than 100 million.
Hi, I am Nur Masara and I will be presenting about the mitigation. First and foremost, I will explain further in the environment aspects which contains these 3 points. The first point in this environment aspect is the workers in the demolition sites must put up nets that contain debris. It is to prevent it from falling down and make the condition getting worse. Next is the workers that were on the demolition sites also has been ordered to spray the building with water in order to reduce the resuspension of particles. Then, the air samples were also being collected by the Professor Najat Saliba, who is an atmospheric and director of AUB's Nature Conservation Center. Her research was more focused on air pollution and the chemical transformation of aerosols. During her interview with the Chemical and Engineering News, she said that we were worried that asbestos might trace into the city through the air. Hence, we collected the air samples in a couple of places inside the city and sent them to the labs in France and Switzerland for analysis. However, due to the pandemic, everything has been put on hold and the testing hasn't yet been confirmed. Next, in the economic aspect, there were some organizations that helped the Build Back Better in preventing and growing the city back to its original condition. Frankly, the organization that was responsible for this project is the International Society of City and Regional Planners, ISOCAP. In the addition, the Build Back Better is defined as a holistic concept of using post-disaster reconstruction and recovery as an opportunity to improve the community's physical, social, and environment condition to create more resilient community in an effective way. Last but not least, in the society aspect, it is a must to urge any individuals to stay in a safe condition as the effect of this explosion is huge and it is extremely dangerous for any living things, especially the human being. In another interview, Professor Najat Saliba once said that the people who do the cleaning during the post-explosion must wear the N95 mask, long pants and sleeves, and also goggles to protect the skin and eyes from irritants such as glass dust. In addition, I will also explain some additional info about the Copernicus satellite mapping system that were used by the government during and after the explosion in Beirut. Copernicus is an information services based on satellite Earth observation and it is an in-situ data. The main function of Copernicus is to observe and forecast the condition of environment on land, sea, and also in the atmosphere as to support the climate mitigation and adaptation strategies. These satellites provides the information on natural disasters such as flood and forest fires. For the explosion in Beirut, this satellite was used to calculate and observe the total regions that were affected by the explosion. So that's all from me in this explanation. Thank you and stay safe everyone.
So, in conclusion, from the Beirut case, we need to learn more about taking care of our environment, especially in managing the waste. As we all know, if those waste not be treated properly, it will cause the biohazard to be occur. The effect of the chemical explosion will impact water and air pollution case rates. It is because when the explosion happens, there will be a fine dust issue and lack of clean water. It also impacts the human population as the case may lead to death and injury, and it also impacts the country economy itself. Next, the responsible person need to find a way to overcome this situation so that the similar cases will not appear, such as enough regulation for the environment. Last but not least, all citizens need to take part in spreading the awareness about the harmfulness of biohazard so that people will be aware of the incidents.